All right, so here we are. Hello, everyone. So here we are. It's 1 a.m. in Lisbon. I think in Los Angeles should be something around 5 p.m. So good evening, Los Angeles. So whoever is in Europe right now, I mean, I'm aware that it's 1 a.m. So welcome. It's already Sunday here. Whoever's in the US, hello there. Whoever is in Asia, what is in Asia right now? I think they should be sleeping by this by this stage. But anyway, hello everyone. In this talk, we're going to be talking about how I became a digital nomad artist per se, to put it in words. But it's going to be mostly about my journey, what has been my journey for the last 10 years, because most of you don't know, but in my case, it's pretty much been working remotely since day one. So it's literally all the time just working remotely. Anyway, so the first thing that I would like to ask you guys, all of you who are in the chat, can you type which country you are in right now? So I get to know a little bit what is if we get a full globe, round. On the workshop, I remember I asked the same question and we almost hit the whole 360. So it would be very interesting to see which countries we are right now connected. So feel free to type it. Meanwhile, I just keep talking. Anyway, so let's just jump little by little. All right, so we have the US, we have Mexico, Bulgaria, Colombia, Uruguay, US, Costa Rica, India, Murcia, Argentina. Awesome. All right. The UK. I mean the UK. Joao, yeah. Well, it's 1 a.m. for you, or maybe it's 2 a.m. even. I'm not so sure. It could be even worse. Anyway, so welcome everyone. So let me just give you a brief introduction where I'm going to be talking today. Just to let you know, when Livebox asked us about which type of streams we wanted to do, I wanted to do something slightly different from normally. As some of you know, I mostly specialize in digital humans. I work creating characters. So obviously I will be going for the classic topics, this is the character, this is how I do the likeness, etc. All right, good, boring. But let me just try to say something slightly different. And then I just give it a thought. And then it's more like, you know what? I mean, I've been working remotely for the last 10 years. And nowadays, especially since last year because of COVID, there are so many people that are also allowed to start working remotely. So I'm sure I have all bunch of information, all bunch of tips that can help all of you to kind of be able to face all of these, traveling issues, working issues better. Even if you want to switch more to a freelancing mode, it's going to help you. So that's the reason why I wanted to do this talk. So I feel personally is the talk that I feel even more happy about it. It's probably the most excited about it. Anyway, so I'm going to divide this in two stages. I just want to show you just quickly here. The first stage is more about theory, if I can say something. It's more about introduction, who I am, how I started. I'm going to be talking about the vector. I'm going to let you know what is the vector later on. I'm super happy about that concept that I don't know if it already existed, but I love it. The achievement about career as well. And then later on, we're going to be moving about practical stuff. So I'm going to give you top tips. I'm going to tell you about workstations, about workspaces. We're going to be talking about visas. We're going to be talking also about COVID and PCRs. We're going to be talking about freelance rates. Obviously, we need to know about freelance rates. And lastly, we're going to be talking about social media strategies before jumping into any question. Also, I want you to notice that I put my happy mood shirt. I did it especially just for this talk because, we're talking about traveling. So definitely I should be already wearing something related to the topic. All right. So we have Chile, Lisbon, Mexico. Cool. We have quite a few people here. So let's keep going. So who I am. So whoever doesn't know me, my name is Marlon. I'm from Spain and I love 3D. As a lot of us, we started drawing pretty much. That's the way we start getting into the whole thing. And I still remember when I was like 10 years old, I saw Toy Story, which competed, knocked me down. That movie, I totally love it. Seeing all these characters just moving, dancing, talking, and doing all this kind of stuff, I totally love it. And in that moment, I realized that I wanted to become a character artist. That's one of the biggest memories from my memory. And since then, I think every single step that I've been taking is in order to become just an artist. Something also to let you know, I started working professionally since 2010, August 2010. And since day one, I've been working remotely. Back then, 2010 was not normal. I will say, even I was not exactly happy about it. I really wanted to move to London, which which was kind of my dream somewhat, what we're supposed to do. But then this remote work allowed me to take a whole bunch of decisions that I'm going to be showing you later on that lead me into a completely exploration journey for the past 10 years that got me here. So this is what I found very interesting, because in my case, definitely I've been following anyone. In this case, I just literally be just taking decisions on the spot. I'm specialized in making digital humans. So I'm specialized about making likeness, about realistic humans, and also I manage the 3D online school, Our Heroes. In Our Heroes, we're pretty much specialized about character creation. So if you want to know more about Heroes, just get into ourheroes.co and you get more information about it. And also I've been working in various shows like Love, Death and Robots, which I totally love it. I feel very happy about it because I totally love the first season, and the fact that I was able to just help a tiny bit on the second season, for me, just amazing. The Game of Thrones trailer, I don't know if you guys were in the talk from yesterday, that I give in Livebox as well, where I completely break down the Tyrone character that I create for Game of Thrones, just from zero to hero, from the sphere till the final here. So if you guys have access to Livebox, just make sure that you get the repetition of the talk. So it's very interesting. And also I've been working in several games like Need for Speed, for example, etc. So, and also in my portfolio, I've been working several clients like Dork, Kansas, Electronic Arts, Real Time UK, etc. So let's say professionally speaking, after some few years, I'm in a spot where I've been done like quite some few things, and right now I feel very happy. And now it's actually what's next, right? Anyway, so let's just keep moving here. I'm just going to pull you here my demo reel from last year, so you have a better sum up about what I've been doing mostly for the last 2 years. All right, so that's pretty much a little explanation from the last cinematics that I've been working on. But this talk is about the journey, it's about work and travel. So let's start on that. So how to start your journey? So this is the thing. As I told you before, I started my whole career in 2010 when I got hired by Slide Mat Studios. This studio specifically was working fully remotely. I think in the studio they only have like 10 people back then, but it was fully remotely. For me, it was such a such a disappointment because I really wanted to move to London. I really wanted to move to England and start my whole career. I wanted to move out of my house because back then I was still in Malaga in Spain, living with my parents in 2010. So I really just want to get out. So the fact that they didn't allow me to go there, it was like, damn it. It was kind of tricky, right? And then I got like the revelation. So in that period of my life, I feel like I was feeling very lost. I was feeling very lost about everything because, guys, for during our whole life, we're pretty much studying in school. Once we finish the school, we have to choose a degree and study university. Once we finish the university, we have to choose a master and take a master. And when we finish the master, we have to choose a career and just follow the career. So for me, it felt like it looks like we're spending all of our life just studying and working. For me, it just felt wrong. It sounded quite wrong to me. And I didn't know what to do with that feeling. I was feeling like, damn it. I mean, I just want to live my life, but I just can't wait till I'm 60 years old and, wait for retirement or whatsoever. Something was already getting in that stage. I was in that point, like 21 or 22 years old. Like something was hitting wrong there. And I remember I started working, and my first boss, my first lead character artist, Lucas, back in the time, he was in New Zealand, working from New Zealand for the same company. And I just asked him, because he was always connecting with weird timetables. And I was asking me, like, how do you manage to work? I mean, don't you supposed to be in London or something? And he's like, oh, I mean, come on, I just need a laptop and Wi-Fi. And I think there is where something just triggered to me. Like, that's right. I mean, I'm literally sitting right now in Spain, just working with Wi-Fi and my computer. Like, what is the difference here? So let's start taking some choices here. So there is where I describe something about work versus life. So how to start your journey? Before getting that job, that specific job, the first thing that you should have is obviously a portfolio ready. So by that, I means at least 3 pieces of characters. In this case, that is, as a, I was aiming as a character artist position. So it's obviously going to help you to be more hireable, and people is going to be able to see what is your skills specifically. You need a laptop. I bought in that point a Sony Vaio. I remember it was good enough, but it started failing the second year like crazy. So it was, during one point, it was very difficult actually to start working with that computer. In terms of the employment, a lot of people asking me if I prefer being a freelancer versus contractor employee, etc. Obviously, when we talk about money, it's very important to understand that if you're traveling, the last thing that you want to do is to run out of money. So ideally, you have a contractor or an employee position where you don't have to worry about clients, or you don't have to worry about money. So ideally, you can aim in advance for an employee or contractor position. But if you're a freelancer, you really need to build your client portfolio. So some clients are already used to you. So that you're always going to have requests from these people. And also you need to start working on your social media, because a difference from employees or contractors, where there are a lot of internal referrals, as a freelancer can happen. But at the beginning, in my case, for the first 5 years, there was no referral. I didn't know actually anybody. So literally I was on my own all the time. So for me, it was more about, okay, I need to start doing something about it. So after the 4th year of traveling, I started kind of working on my social media, and I started being like more exposed online. So I was posting more on Facebook and whatsoever. Also, a lot of especially Spanish speakers ask me if they should learn English. I'm sorry, but you should learn English for a million reasons. And the most important reason is that this industry is mostly Anglo-Saxon speaking. So you need to understand what terrain you are kind of working on. So at the end of the day, everything is in English. And also all the companies, I would say actually all the companies, the employees is very international background. So at the end of the day, you have Czech people, like Bulgarian people, Spanish people, at the end of the day, they need to have a common language. So you need to really speak English. Obviously, you need to be aware of your country and time zone, but nothing special about it. And something that I always talk about. So if you guys start traveling, I think one of the most important things that I always did from the very beginning, I need to have an activity within the country. And by that, I mean literally enrolling somewhere. Like, for example, the first time I moved out from Spain, I moved to South Africa. The reason why I moved out to South Africa was to learn English, because back then my English was more about, English from school. It's from Spanish schools, which is horrible in most of the cases. So I was speaking horrible. And I just moved out to South Africa, which is an English speaker mostly. And I did a volunteer in Cape Town. which makes me actually start talking also with clients, because I was doing a volunteer in the Two Oceans Aquarium in Cape Town. That is like a massive aquarium that you have on the port, and I have to deal with clients one-to-one, speaking in English. And for me, it was like there is no other context. I literally cannot defend myself in my native language. I need to really use English no matter what. Obviously, you need to be aware about the visas. Most of the time when I'm traveling, I travel with a tourist visa, which allows you to be 3 months in the country. And in some cases, they allow you to do an extension. Like in South Africa, they always allow you to do another 3 months extension that you have to apply for. Most of the time you get it granted, it's fine. But in other cases, like in Mozambique, for example, I will show you later, there was no such a thing as a tourist visa. So I have to go through an invitation visa. I will show you all this kind of stuff later. And then finally, I'm going to be talking about the vector. So make the vector happen. So you might guy asking like, what is this vector thing, right? It's the second time I mention it. No worries. I will show you later what it's about. So let me ask you first. So I'm just going to ask you some few questions. If you guys can type on the chat. So do you have any plans about changing your lifestyle? I do assume you have probably, and that's the reason why you are in this stream. Like, are you planning to change your lifestyle somewhat? There is any career change or upgrade you want to have for yourself? Like you want to change from on an employee basis to more of a freelancer, maybe? Just feel free to type your answers down the chat. I'm right now reading everything, so we can talk a little bit about it. And mostly, what is your biggest struggle? Like in general, what actually makes that decision be so complicated? And I'm aware about some few reasons why it can be so complicated. So I'm most interested about to know what is your situation. So Iseta is saying about an upgrade. So yeah, definitely about a career upgrade. In terms of working, it's very tricky, obviously, unless you have an employee like status where you actually can have an upgrade into the same company. Freelancing is all about yourself. So in my case, I was literally, I will show you later, I was pretty much just ZBrushing on a daily basis meanwhile I was traveling and trying always to get into personal projects and just trying to have some exposition online, because there was no other way for me to kind of improve in all directions at the same time. So Morgan Rossi is saying like, grabbing a job in 3D entertainment game industry, biggest struggle will be actually getting the job. Well, I mean, getting the job, I do believe nowadays, Morgan, is actually even easier because there is even more demand and there is even less reason for the studios to get you there, because of COVID mostly. Most of the studios are hiring remotely. So I do believe right now is probably the best scenario where actually you can get hired, because they are, in some cases, they are not even giving visas, working visas as well. Joao is saying, I'm employed as a character artist, but would be great to go from employee to freelancer to be able to have more flexibility to work. Yeah, that's pretty much the reason why I choose to be a freelancer. And the reason is because on my schedule, I always try to have blocks where I'm working like crazy and other blocks where I'm literally very, very chill. So it's very important to have all this type of mind. All right, so I'm just going to keep moving. So if you guys have more questions, no worry. We're going to have a Q&A session also later on. All right, so let's talk about the vector. What is this vector thing that I'm talking about? So there is this quote that I actually just read today, and for me, I just love it. It says something like, to make sound, something has to vibrate. What does it mean? Or at least what does it mean to me? Because the way I kind of read it. If you want to make something to happen, you need to start moving. There is no other way you can do it. It doesn't really matter if you are moving, faster or kind of stronger or something. It's about actually moving, and then you start producing sound. So when I talk about vector, I'm going to give you two examples, practical examples in my life, what happened to me during the last 10 years. And I'm very proud about this too, because it's something that I ever thought that could happen to me, actually. And it's about the fact that if you get one idea in your head, every single step that you take in your life, in your daily basis, once you wake up till you go to sleep, it's about just going that direction. So if you want to, I don't know, to become a better runner, you just go running every 1 day or every 3 days or whatever. You cannot take these decisions, but you have to be consistent in these decisions, okay? So let me just give you one example. So I wanted to become a marine biologist. So most of you probably don't know, I'm obsessed about sea life. And the reason why I moved to South Africa was not only because I wanted to learn English, and also because I wanted to escape my home. I really want to move out, you know. It was because in 2010 I saw this BBC documentary it's called Queen of Manta. So Queen of Manta, it was showcasing Andrea Marshall. She's a marine biologist in Tofo, Mozambique, and she was doing a research in giant mantas and whale sharks. When I saw the documentary, I just got fascinated about the whole thing about diving and, you know, like really helping, doing something very useful, because I knew that I was going to be working on the game industry. I love gaming. I love also entertainment, but I know that in terms of humanity, there is not so much of useful future. I wanted to do something slightly more towards conservationism as well. So I just felt fascinated about diving and, you know, helping and, you know, tagging mantas and so on. So I made a plan. And I remember I was in Spain, in Malaga, in Spain, sitting in my room, just there watching the documentary. It's like, all right, I'm going to make a plan about it. I bought myself a dive computer, and I was not even a diver back then. I remember that was my third salary. I started working on August, and I think I bought it on October or in September. I don't remember. And I bought a dive computer. It cost me a lot from that salary because I had a very bad salary at the beginning. And I didn't even start diving, but I just wanted to have something that just make me feel that I have this duty about diving. So I just bought it, and next time the first time I started diving was like 4 or 5 months later on. So I passed all my PADI dive exams. PADI is one of the type of the diving, let's say, industry. So in this case, like a recreational diving. And in this case, I started as an open water that you only can dive till 80 meters. And from there, I just kind of keep moving forward. And then I decided, all right, I'm going to move out to South Africa and do a volunteer in the Two Oceans Aquarium. And the cool thing about the aquarium specifically, I remember when I was emailing with them, is that they were going to give me 2 months, like a crash course about marine biology in the whole South African shore. So I get to know everything about, you know, the ecosystems, about the animals, about, you know, the plants, etc. So I was very excited about it. And later on in Mozambique, before moving out from South Africa, I applied for several positions to help marine biologists in the area. And lucky me enough, Andrea Marshall, this lady that I saw 2 years before in the BBC documentary, she replied back. And guess what? I moved out to Mozambique just to help her in her research. For me, it was like wow, I did something that it was literally a crazy idea, something that I didn't know that is even possible. And all of a sudden, I was sitting in Tofo, Mozambique, in the middle of nowhere, diving almost every 2-3 days at 7 a.m., just going there and just doing photos, videos, you know, like for me, it was like, how come I'm a 3D artist? How come I got there? Well, because I was just pushing from the very beginning, getting that direction. So that's what I'm talking about, the vector. Just try to make sure that you go in that direction. Obviously, I'm obsessed about underwater photography and videography. So there is some few examples about some of the pictures and photos that I took during my whole journey, not only in Mozambique and South Africa. I also was living in Costa Rica, helping dive centers, also in Thailand. So I got to get a lot of it. So let me just show you something that I ever show anyone. I remember I did a demo underwater, demo reel, I call it, where I just show a little bit of the videos that I took during my journey. And this is going to be the first time actually I'm showcasing it. It's something that I ever did before. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And yeah, just let me know what you think.
11, 10, 9, we have ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3.
Replacing this pain with something love. It's so much easier.
All right, so that's everything that comes to my what I call my blue dream, everything that comes to underwater. So now let's come back to actually become a digital artist. So in 2013, I moved out to Costa Rica. I was also working on the dive industry and everything. And in that point, also, I was kind of feeling about quitting as well, even being a digital artist. I was even feeling like a quitting and become a dive instructor. But thanks God I didn't. What I did on the other hand is actually make a plan. So the same thing, I need to make sure that I create a vector that points somewhere to be able to become a better digital artist, a better, in this case, a better character artist. I really want to sculpt better. So reaching your goals as an artist, I'm going to give you my example about what happened to me specifically after 2013, once I started taking more seriously my career. So it took me around 6 years actually to get my first proper freelance gig. All the time I was working as a contractor basis, but most of the time I was doing something that I was not so creative in general. Allow me to keep, work and travel, but artistically speaking, also career speaking, I was not getting anywhere. I was just pretty much just doing a repetition job, which I don't like. So I decided in 2013, I remember that very well. I'm going to practice and sculpt every day for a couple of hours. And mostly I'm going to be sculpting faces. I really love likenesses. I really love the fact about just get that actor's face or something, just trying to sculpt it. So I'm just going to do it now in a daily basis. And something I want to tell you, and I think is very relevant, all this concept about 10K hours, from my point of view, is BS. It's not true. It's not about the amount of hours you spend on something. It's about the quality of that time. So you literally can invest even less time, but more quality wise. And by that, I mean doing less procrastination, trying to be more focused on your work, just trying to be more conscious about what you are doing. So that's very important. And I remember after creating my first realistic character per se, I will show you just later which one I'm very proud of. I got my first job opportunity in the cinematic industry, which was creating a full character just by myself, full body, hair, everything, and I nailed it. And I remember with Real Time Studio, after that they just keep asking me just to do quite some few characters from their cinematic. So for me, it was like such a good feeling. The fact that not only I did a good job, but also they appreciate it. So for me, this whole thing about trust with your client, it was becoming true little by little. So they got me a second opportunity. I also nailed it. And I do believe this nailed it feeling is the fact that, come on, I've been just years sculpting and creating humans. Obviously, once I get into the real gig, in the real freelance work, for me was just normal because that's what I'm doing in a daily basis, no matter what. So it's very important to keep the vector in that direction. So right now I can proudly say that I'm working mostly doing digital humans, and that's something that I really love. So this is the character that from my point of view changed everything in my career. I remember I did this character in 2016. I finished it on January, I think it was it. And I think this character kind bring everything. And like when I talk about social media, obviously I can finish this character and never publish it anywhere, just on my Earth station, and that's it. I just leave it. But when I talk about social media, it's the fact that you need to post your work. Why? Because recruiters are there as well. Future employees are also there. So it's very important for them just to see your work. So it's very important just to be active, just to use it, just to post your work. Don't be shy about it. So I have met so many artists that they are just shy because they feel the work is not good enough. It doesn't really matter. And also it's very important, the feedback. So sometimes you have like a very bad feedback on the comments, just take it. I mean, it's a constructive feedback. Just take it because it's going to improve you. It's going to improve your probably your pipeline. It's going to improve also the quality of your art later on. So I really encourage everyone just to post their work no matter what, just to make sure that they move on. So this character is, I think, the character that changed everything in my career. And after that, things just got better. So the same year, well, not the same year, but the next year, actually, Pixologic, I applied for the Sculpt of in Pixologic. If you guys don't know what is it, the Sculpt of is in the Zebra Summit. when they talk all the features about ZBrush and about the industry and so on. They also make a sculpt off where they gather 24 digital artists from around the world. They see them in one room and they have to sculpt one topic, and then one guy just win the competition type of thing. I know it sounds lame. I know it sounds very lame, the fact that I won the competition, but for me, it was more about in 2013, this feeling about, all right, I'm going to sculpt a face every single day of my life. And 4 years later, I was in Los Angeles doing exactly the same thing, and I kind of got I kind of got the validation of my own thoughts. I think that was the thing that really made the difference. I was just validating my own thoughts, my own decisions. So for me, it was like, all right, I definitely am taking good decisions in that sense, and it's all about the vector. Every single thing should be pointing the same direction. So that's what I'm saying all the time for you guys. Like, if you guys want to progress in your career, if you guys feel like you're struggling or something, just be aware of the goal. Don't worry so much about the distance, how difficult it sounds like, because I've been these two goals that I just showed you before. For me, sounds like right now it feels like it's a bit crazy, but they just happen. So it's all about just targeting them, and they just go little by little. So don't worry about the end. Just worry more about the journey and trying to work in this mode that you just enjoy it. Just enjoy the process. So in this case, also to let you know, every time I was working in a character or in ZBrush, I always try to make sure that I have a personal project aside. Try to always research about different techniques. I always say the same thing. From my point of view, a character artist is 40% character artist, 60% a researcher. So at the end of the day, is you constantly researching stuff in Google. I love Googling. I spend half of my day just how to do something, literally. And it feels right, because you cannot just trust what you've been taught. You cannot just trust what you think is correct. Maybe there is someone else. There are a million forums online that they have just better techniques. So you just have to actually try it, you know? Obviously, as a character artist, you need to know everything about facial anatomy and also body anatomy. So I always try to aim for that direction. I was obsessed about likeness. So not only about knowing facial anatomy, you need to know how to approach a proper likeness. For you guys that haven't been in our Heroes workshops that we started this week, on the first day, I create a likeness from scratch. It's not fully complete, but you can see the full process. So if you are curious about how I approach a likeness, just make sure that you sign up to our Heroes workshops, because there you're going to see the full recording, and I'm going to be explaining the full process, how I start from the sphere till finally creating a bust of Elvis. In this case, that is the face that I choose to create. And then obviously, once you start traveling and also working, you need to keep your portfolio up to date. So I know this is hard for so many artists, but if a piece of work doesn't feel completely okay, you have to remove it. I know it's hard. I know it's very hard for some of us, like it's a work that I spent for 3 months, 4 months, I don't know how long, and it hurts taking off from your portfolio, but believe me, it's going to help you. So just remove it. Just leave the pieces that you feel very proud of. Okay. All right. So right now I'm pretty much just working as a digital artist, just working in CG humans. That's pretty much what I do right now. And I totally love it. I feel very proud of myself that right now I'm doing everything that I like. All right, so right now I'm going to ask you another question, guys. So in terms of career, is there anything more that you are passionate about? Like whatever you are doing right now at work, there is anything else that actually, ring the bell? What part of the process you need to practice for? And that's something that we have to apply on a daily basis. What part of the process that you are lacking of knowledge or lacking of skills? What part of the process you think you need to improve? And also, which areas have more chances to grow your career? And here again, I'm talking about being realistic. So we all can say, all right, I'm going to be a character artist, whatsoever, I'm going to be a digital painter, whatsoever. So many people, especially people who are starting, and most of the time they don't know exactly what they like. I always tell them the same thing. Look, most of my clients, they always asking for the same type of skills. either a groomer or either a simulation artist, for example. These two specifically are two that are very, 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 like requested, and they can find it. So if you are not so confident about what you feel like that you want to head up, maybe you want to head up in a way that your career can progress, and finally you can support your traveling, you can support your work, you can pay the rent, pay the the utilities, etc. So try to be also smart about what choices you are taking. Okay, so I think this is very important. All right, so let's keep moving here. So what is my next stage? So in my case, at this stage of my career, I feel like I have made through so many dreams, let's say, but I'm very passionate about teaching. I really like teaching. I remember the first time I did a workshop, it was like 6 years ago. I just love it. I mean, the feedback from the students, and it was an introduction to ZBrush. I really remember. I don't know, from the fact that they already can sculpt something, I just feel like wow, in 4 hours, these people are already kind of confident about trying something. Like how much with a little knowledge, how far they can get, right? So for me, it was like, all right, it triggered something. So in 2019, Maria, JT, and myself, we created Art Heroes. Art Heroes is an online academy that is specialized in character creation. So obviously, I'm a character artist, and obviously, what I'm teaching and what all of our instructors also are teaching is everything about character creation. So all the tips that we are giving our students to the forum, everything that I'm giving, we are giving away in the talks, events, everything. It's about character creation. So anyone who joins Art Heroes, definitely from my point of view, they get a lot from it. All right, so this is something that I feel very proud of, because in such a short term, we have growth. I don't know how many successful students from literally from zero to hero, people who literally started from zero and then just finalized one of our programs, and then finally they get the first job, and they just write me on Instagram, they write me on Facebook, hey Marlon, I mean, I cannot be just more grateful about taking the course, etc. Like I just feel like it's amazing. You're literally changing people's life just by giving them knowledge. I still feel surprised about this kind of stuff. I totally love it. Anyway, enough bullshit. Let's get practical. Let's talk about actually best tips about travel and working. All right. So let's start talking about real stuff. So all of this was the theory. Fine, whatever. Let's talk about real stuff. All right. So best working practices. What I have learned for the last 10 years working and traveling. You need to train your clients. What does it mean? As a freelancer, you need to make sure that you have a conversation language with your client. So for example, if your client requests you a certain thing, you don't have to jump all the way straight and do it. Sometimes you actually have to fight back. So they have to know where there are the limits. And also, for me, most important is about the time zone. If the client reach you, to send you an email all of a sudden at 10 p.m., don't reply it unless you work at 10 p.m. Only reply in your working hours, because otherwise they are going to get used to reach you anytime, also when you are not working. And some days you really don't want to reply those messages. So you need to make sure that you are reachable also in your working time zone. Right. And when I talk about working time zone, trying to make sure that it's always 8 hours per day. I'm very squarehead about it. I really try to work no more than 8 hours per day. That's something that I really try to do it. So normally I wake up, I go to the gym, and then I start working at 9 a.m. and finish at 5 p.m. And that's it. I really don't try to work more. Sometimes I do personal projects, but normally I try to cut at 5 p.m. Be aware of your time zone, obviously, depending on which client you are dealing with or where your company is based. You need to be aware of your time zone. So ideally, you can move to a country where it's the future, the way I say it. So you have your time zone is in advance. So you can already start working in advance. So that actually helps quite a lot. So when it's actually the opposite, when the studio opens before you wake up, that's horrible, because you literally just wake up. And I've been in both situations, just to let you know. The studio wake up, and then you just start, Slack or whichever app you're using for chatting, and you have a whole bunch of requests, and it's horrible. So If you choose a country, just try. I mean, not try. I mean, you choose the country that you like. But at the end of the day, the time zone is going to play some different. Mind maps creation. What is mind maps creation? So I always talk about try to work on personal projects aside of your work. Mind maps creation is an application. In this case, I only know that it's for iPad. It's quite possible that it's for different devices. But the cool thing about it is that you can put all your thoughts in one single canvas. I'm going to show you later what it's about. You're going to love it. I found Notability application just this year, and I just totally love it. I'm going to give you one example just now. Try to make some sports. Obviously, in my case, I try to either I go to the gym during the morning or either in the midday I go running. These breaks always helps you. And in my case, I always say don't try to work over the weekends. I still remember when the first time I moved to Russia, in Moscow specifically, they work on Saturdays. For me, it was like are you crazy or what? I mean, it's Saturday. Like, what do you mean you're working on a Saturday? What do you mean you're working on a weekend? I mean, you're having business meetings on a weekend. So no, weekend is a weekend. We need to get out. We need actually to get out. We need to get out of the computer. We need to get out of actually of work. All this kind of stuff actually recharge your battery. So it's very important just to do whatever you want, but just don't focus so much on work, because then on Monday you're going to be fully recharged. So it's very important doing this kind of stuff. So let me talk about Notability. I totally love this app. This is just a practical example of the canvas that I create for one character that I created right now. The character that I'm doing, it's going to involve so many things. It's going to involve like a facial animation. It's going to involve Unreal Engine that I'm also learning. It's going to involve hair created in Houdini. So I knew that I wanted to do all this kind of stuff, but I didn't know how to put all this kind of stuff together, because the pipeline was very weird. Houdini, Maya, Unreal Engine, hair, facial animations. Geez, I'm already confused. And I got this mind app, and I totally love it, because here I can just put my thoughts, and mostly I can put web links. So every time I was finding proper documentation from Epic Games, for example, about facial capture or about their Apple Arcade and this kind of stuff, I can just pull the link literally in my canvas. And also something that I love is the fact that I can use memes. I mean, I love GIFs, I love memes. So don't ask me why, but I totally love them. And for me, it kind create already a distraction, or it create a focus point where I know where I have to focus. So in general line, this app Notability was very useful for me, just to have a proper understanding of what is the plan, to make sure that I'm able to go one by one, step by one. Okay, so very, very useful. So take note of this. All right, so let's talk about the best workstation. So I got so many messages about what is my setup, etc. I got several computers or several laptops as well. So you need to get a mobile workstation. The reason why the workstations are so good is the reason because you can upgrade them. So for example, the one that I got was an MSI 17 inches, one of the Titan Pros. And the cool thing about it is that by default, it came with an SSD. And then I think it came with 32 gigs and HDD. But the cool thing is that you can change the whole thing if you want, because you just literally, flip the laptop, open it, and just change drives if you want. So I literally upgrade the full laptop to become a full desktop computer. But I was traveling. So if you really want to travel, just try to make sure that you get a gaming workstation, so you can upgrade on demand. Also very important that you invest on GPU. So at the end of the day, the price of the laptop is going to be, half of it is going to be just the GPU. So make sure that you are using an NVIDIA RTX or GTX. Lately, RTX, I think, is the best choice, since they already start getting into the market, into the laptop market. So just take a look on that. And also in terms of the screen size, this is very important. I try to work with 13 inches, 15 inches. It's literally impossible to work on those in 4K resolution. Just get a 17 inches, and you are going to at least enjoy the process a little bit. Ideally, obviously, it's bigger, but there is no laptop bigger than 17 inches. Not that I know. If you know any laptop bigger than 17 inches, just type it on the comment. I would love to hear about it. But yeah, 17 inches is good. And also 17 inches is pretty good because it fits in your hand luggage when you get into the airport. So it literally is the size of any hand luggage right now. Just you need to get a tablet. Obviously, I'm going to say Wacom because I only used to Wacom. I haven't tried any of the other new tablets, so take a look at that. Always travel with external SSD, and obviously you're going to run out of space anytime, so you need always to back up information to create new space on the computer. So that's very important. By the way, I just forgot, get a portable second screen. That's super important, believe me. For me, it's so difficult to work with one screen. So nowadays you have very cool, affordable, portable screens for like a $200 type of thing, and believe me, it really makes a difference. So you can put your reference in the second screen, or you can put the chat in the second screen, and then you can work on the main screen. So it's very important to do this kind of stuff. Headphones, obviously, and finally USB multiport. And the reason why I said a USB multiport is because some of this screen, they need to be connected to the port, to a USB port, or in some cases you have so many devices connected that you're going to run out of USB connections. So you need maybe a USB multiport that plugs straight to your laptop. Anthony saying like he hardly can see the difference between 2K and 4K. You're going to notice the difference mostly in the UI, believe me. Some of the softwares like Maya, for example, they are literally specific to like a 4K, and in some cases you're going to even lose some menus just because you either tweak the resolution or you have a different resolution. So I think it's very important to have a 4K resolution, like for example this laptop, but 17 inches at least. Okay. Workspace. So some people were asking me about the workspace, like what is the best workspace to work on? Not really. You just need Wi-Fi and a good laptop. Believe me, I've been working in so many weird environments. Believe me, I like from just like my tiny room in South Africa to I don't know how it's called this in English, like a cat, I think it's called in English, like a cat in Mozambique. In Thailand, I just literally just have one table. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you just need good hardware. That's the most important. You need a good laptop, and then you need a good tablet that are reliable and they just do the job. And obviously you need Wi-Fi. So make sure that's one of the first thing that I do every time I get to a country. I just literally sort out the Wi-Fi day one, either in my phone, either I buy a router, either I pay whichever the telephone company makes me pay, but Wi-Fi literally is the only thing that can break, and that's the number thing that you have to sort out once you find your house in the country. All right, let's talk about money. So obviously there are so many people asking about what are the rates. I'm just going to be talking about freelance rates. Obviously, a lot of these are very open question because it depends quite a lot which country you are from and what your needs, etc. But I can tell you more or less which are the normality in this kind of sense. I'm going to be talking just about working day rates, that is working per day. All right. So if you are just starting, like it's just first years, you should charge between $150 and $350. That's kind of the average from what I can see. Right? If you're already a senior artist, or the studio that you're going to work with, they're already kind of more into you and they really want to work with you, you can just charge about 500 USD till whatever you negotiate with the studio or with the client. Here I have heard anything from like $1,000 per day till like a 700 as well, 500. I have charged already in this time range. It depends on the client. You're going to feel like which clients are more keen about paying this amount or not, because at the end of the day, it's about how much they want to work with you. So they will be willing to pay that money or not. But more or less, you have right now like a little average about what are the most important. Instead, they're saying right now like 150 in Mexico is a lot. To be honest, at the end of the day, it's more about what is a lot for the client. So I really do believe that for a client, I don't know, like a American client, 150 per day, maybe it's not so much. Also depends in the industry, because you have collectibles, you have VFX, you have game industry. It kind of depends. This was about freelancer rates. So just take it in consideration, because I'm sure it can be very, very useful. All right, so let's talk quickly about visas. So in terms of visas, if you guys have any question about visa, I think it's the right moment to ask it on the chat. I just read in the chat right now. So you have two types of visas you can travel with. You have the tourist visa or you have the invitation visa. So what is the tourist visa? The tourist visa is pretty much what we know. So it's just 3 months entry on and off to the country. You have optional extensions to 6 months depending on the country. Like I mentioned before, in South Africa, they gave me the option to extend another 3 months once I enter after. You don't want to overstay. If you overstay the visa, even just by 1 day, you can even get into issues. So it's very important that you make sure that you count your days and you actually are aware about when to exit. Also, very important, in a tourist visa, you are not entitled to hold any business activity. So once you get into the country with a tourist visa, you cannot make money within the country in any business activity within the country. That doesn't mean that you cannot work. As I said before, I was working online, but I was paying my taxes in Spain. So technically speaking, I was working all the time in Spain. But in a tourist visa, you cannot just engage in the business of the country because otherwise you will need to pay taxes. So in this case, you only pay taxes in Spain. And also in terms of tourist visa, in terms of the extension, it's going to depend quite a lot about the relationship within the country. So depending of your passport, which type of passport holder you are, you're going to have a tourist visa or not. I mean, it literally depends what type of passport you have. Obviously, it's very handy to have different passports. In my case, I have 2 different passports. So sometimes I get to play with these 2 depending which one is giving me best solutions. And then you have the invitation visa, and invitation visa is quite random. The invitation visa should be done by either one company or either one person within the country that is requesting you to stay there for a certain amount of time. And then the consulate that you apply from is going to dictate how much of this you're going to get or not. So for example, when I moved to Mozambique, I went through a volunteer visa that was pretty much an invitation visa for 6 months. And they only give me 6 months, but I had to exit the country every month. I was a pain in the butt because I had to make so many border runs between Mozambique and South Africa every 4 weeks. It was such a pain in the butt. But literally, that was the only way to enter the country. So for me, it was all right. That was fine. So again, so when you are traveling, just be aware about what type of visa you can hold. Also be aware about what is the extension, the period that you want to stay there. And also if you want to do some volunteer and so on, sometimes you get a volunteer visa and whatsoever. Okay, it can be very, very useful. Erika Sarat is asking me if I always think about American dollars, or you think about that type of change between different countries' coins. So in my case, to be honest, I only think about euros when I do my rates, because I live in Europe, so I'm paying everything according to European standards. For the last year, I've been living in Portugal, so I'm kind of paying everything according more or less how things are valued in Portugal. So it's just that I do the conversion to USD. But what I'm telling you is mostly about the average as a freelance rate. So I give you the USD because USD is mostly international, so it's very easy to understand from people from Asia, people from Africa, people from Europe. Just USD, currency is very easy to understand. That's the reason why I cannot use it. But when I think about my rates, I always think about euros all the time. Marcos Gonçalves is asking, by the way, there is some countries with special Nomad contracts like Portugal, Georgia, and Panama. I'm not so sure what you mean with Nomad. I think what you are referring about, they are trying to attract expats and mostly expat money as well. So they have all bunch of benefits from people who have like a business abroad, or they have like a money abroad and bring it into the country. So yeah. There are a bunch of like, okay, Maria is replying that there are Nomad visas these days. Okay, I didn't know this kind of stuff. Cool. That's excellent to know. All right, so one of the few things, the PCR test, I mean, this is something that unfortunately is compulsory right nowadays. Most of the countries are going to ask you to enter with a PCR test. If not all the countries are going to ask you to get it with a PCR test. You need to have it 72 hours in advance. Vaccination is not always this necessary, but some countries will request it as well. So depending on the country that you're entering, you're going to not only show the PCR test, but you may need to show also the vaccination proof. And also to exit the country, you also need another PCR test. So you need to planify all this kind of stuff when you are in the country that you are already planifying paying, not only paying, but programming also the PCR to exit the country as well. So that's super important. Okay. And if you're arriving from certain countries, you might be asking for 10 days quarantine. That's the list is very few. I don't know exactly the list of countries, but some countries, depending where you're coming from, you're going to be requested for 10 days of quarantine. So that's what it is nowadays. That's what it is. And the last thing that I want to talk about is about social media strategies. This is mostly for freelancers, just to let you know. I'm a freelancer as well, so obviously I need to be active in social media. One of the tips that I want to give you is about when to post online. If you get into your settings in Instagram, you're going to notice that there is an audience like a tab. If you get into settings, insights, audience, there you're going to find out where your audience is more active. So it's going to be very useful to post specifically in this time frame. So for example, in myself, in my audience specifically, this is a screenshot from my phone. My audience is more active between 3 and 6 p.m. So you really want to kind of post your, your story, your reel, whatever you want to post within these hours as well. Also, you have days, is counting which days are the best ones. So you can also count that. But most of the time, the days doesn't really matter that much. It's mostly about the hour. Lately in Instagram is valuing more the reels on top of the post. So everybody knows what are reels, like videos. The reason why is because Instagram is trying to compete against TikTok. So pretty much they're trying to become the new TikTok. So what they are doing, they're pulling most of the reels to appear on your wall and leaving the post behind. So if you want to be more engaging, you can just post more reels in that sense. Also, in your post, don't post any link, because if you post any link, probably it's not going to be it's not going to perform well, that post. Also, don't overuse hashtags. Just try to use, I think the max is 30 hashtags, but to be honest, I think that's too much. Most of the time, around between 10 and 15, I think it does the job. And there is one that I personally hate, the whole thing about create content regularly. I don't do it. I use the social media in a very little way, because I personally don't like to be so much into social media. But the logarithm is trying to push all of those users that posts are more engaging and have like a 2-3 posts per day. That's something that I'm not going to recommend, because I totally hate that. But anyway, it's up to you how much time and how much you value all of that. All right, so this is pretty much the last bit of the talk. So we're going to do a scholarship raffle. So before jumping to the scholarship raffle, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to give a little bit of, I'm going to gamify the experience right now. Okay, so grab your phones, guys. So we're going to make a little quiz. So this scholarship raffle is going to be a 50% discount on our stylized character course. So if you guys are interested about how to create stylized characters, we have a whole program in our heroes about stylized character creation, and we're giving a whole 50% discount here just because, pretty much. So it's going to be just one question. So just get ready, guys. So first of all, just get your phone, get this QR code. You're going to get link to one website on your phone, and you're going to be able to type your answer there. I'm going to get all the answers here. No worries. All right. So make sure that I'm going to leave a little bit of time here for you guys to join the quiz. So just grab your phone, get the QR code here. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. It's going to be quite fun. We have one person. Also try to make sure that you put your real name so we know which person we're referring to, because we're going to have one winner. So yeah. All right, I'm going to give you like around 1 minute. What do you think, guys? Meanwhile, you guys want to ask some questions? Meanwhile, we have everyone here joining into the game, into the raffle. I think we have one question here. Speaking of payments, what will be the best way to receive a payment if I do a job for another country, via PayPal or bank account? What will be the best way to receive a payment for work? You're talking about the procedure, if it's PayPal or bank account? You're talking just literally about how to receive the payment. It doesn't really matter because some clients, they request you one or not. I personally like to use TransferWise. It's very easy to set up, especially for American clients, since Wise is very set up in their pipeline and whatsoever. The other day is about where do you pay the taxes, right? So it doesn't really matter. It's more what is more convenient to you. All right, so I think we have enough people here. So let's ask the question. We have 26, 27. We have more people joining. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, what is the name of the MindMap application? You have 30 seconds, 25 seconds left. Is iMindMap, or is Notability, or is Map of my head, or is Note that? All right, so make sure that you type the answer that you feel is correct. And once you get the answer, let's see who was the winner here. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, that's it. All right, let's see which is the right answer. All right, we have 10% saying iMindMap, 83% saying Notability. No one really believe a map of my head. I wonder why. And we have Note that, 7%. The right answer is Notability. So I congratulate to all of you that hit the right answer. Very good job. So let's see who is the winner. The winner is Eugenio Aguirre. Maria, can you make sure that you take the name? So we write Eugenio Aguirre. Eugenio, can you type your email here on the comments so Maria can grab it and write you all the details about the scholarship details? Anyway, very good job. And that's it, guys, for today. If you have any more questions, just ask it now or just leave it forever. So just ask any questions now. Right now is where I'm literally taking any question. I'm going to give you guys around like 2-3 minutes to see if anyone has any questions, so we can already start engaging into the questions. Normally for my Q&A, I used to give between 10-15 minutes. I think this time is going to be very cool, very easygoing, because it's mostly about practical work and travel decisions here. So yeah, just feel free to, just post your questions, just literally anything. What are your struggles? You feel like you can work and travel as well. You feel it's your thing or not. I mean, feel free just to let me know just now. So Anto is asking, where is the best place you have been for working as a nomad artist? I mean, as a nomad artist, it doesn't really matter, but my very favorite country was, and it's always been, South Africa. And actually, I was thinking in the last year when COVID started, moving to South Africa for real. I really loved South Africa, Cape Town specifically. I really love living in Cape Town. So I think that was my very, very, very favorite country. Isetaya 3D is asking, how did you find the discipline to sculpt and finishing projects? I think, as I said before, it's about the vector. So at the end of the day, it's all about trying to make sure that you finalize what your initial ideas. Nowadays, for example, I've become more slower because I don't have that need now to find clients in that sense. But before, I literally put myself deadlines of 3 months or 6 months. And literally, whatever I had in certain day, I just literally just render. I was taking my own personal projects sometimes as my own client. Sometimes it was even stressful, but I just literally need to finish it because otherwise it just consumes you. I don't know. It just became my normality. Just try to make sure that I always finalize whatever I start. How do you manage to sleep at night? Connection. Well, I mean, Gamers District. I mean, that's the reason why I moved to Houdini lately as well, because Houdini is less likely to crash. So in that project that I show you, Notability, about Lilo, I did it in Houdini, the hair specifically. Because of that, I know that hair specifically is very complicated. So I want to try different techniques in that sense. What do you think to travel with a Cintiq? Oh, Evandro, that's just impossible. So just don't think about it. Carlos asking again, there is no legal issue for working as a nomad with a tourist visa? There is no legal issue as long as you pay taxes wherever you are registered. So in the well, I mean, it kind of depends also, but at the end of the day, it's you don't have to also disclose all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the days, you make sure that you just pay taxes wherever you are registered. That's the most important thing as well, especially when you're border control and ask you a bunch of questions. Well, that's true. I mean, I must admit that when I was trying to go these questions, I mean, I never disclosed this kind of thing, but it doesn't really, it's not so relevant because I'm not engaged with the business activity of the country. So at the end of the day, I was just traveling within the country. So yeah, and on the border control, if I get some question, I just say, I'm just traveling, right? It doesn't really matter. What advice can you give for overcoming the struggle of learning anatomy? I mean, just keep trying. Just keep trying. Really, anatomy is hard, but I think once you get the basic knowledge about how the muscles work, how to plug everything, at the end of the day, it's more about methodology. For example, in our heroes courses, we have the likeness course where I literally break out every single head, every single area of the head and all the muscles and all the the landmarks and everything. So once you have the methodology, it just becomes easier. So at the end of the day, just methodology, really. It's very easy. Joao is asking also, how do you begin to build a freelance client base? In my case, it really helped posting work in social media, just in Facebook groups or even Instagram. It just helped me because they were reaching me. I tried to approach that just by sending emails. It never worked out back in the time. Nowadays, I think it's most about internal recruitment. So most of the big companies, they hire people that they know, so they get referrals. So if you know someone working there, you just try to get her him in the company. So that's very normal. But when you are freelancing, most of the time you're on your own. So you try to make sure that you at least have some exposition in that sense. So just posting in Facebook when you have something, for me, it's actually what helped. It really helped. Miguel Agudelo, I want to work in the industry in characters, but I only know about hard surface yet. Do you think I should change now, or I should practice characters and then change? I mean, I think it's the most important is about how the portfolio is ready. So at the end of the day, just focus maybe just one character. Try to have it just completely ready and just even apply for with one. I always try to say that 3 is enough, but I have seen very solid portfolios just with one piece, and that's even enough. You really see a very good piece. So what I will say, just try to make at least one very good character and even start applying with it. And I wouldn't waste time. I will start already trying to make that character now, Miguel. Definitely. Ian Christ is asking, do contracts generally include NDAs? Yes, all of them. How do you approach negotiations to show work after the release of the product? I asked them. That's the reason why it's so important to have a good relation with your clients. Most of the clients, obviously, by NDA, you cannot disclose that you've been even working with them. So, but just by talking to them, you can say, hey, can I post the work? And some of the time they say no. So half the time they say yes. It really depends also in the contract with the producer, etc. So it's all about maintaining a relationship with them. I think we have any more questions here. Love talking on the course, Marlon. Thanks, Alfredo. Thanks very much. Anto is saying, Helena McCondack is saying, do you have any favorite 3D artists? Yeah, of course I have. I always have my favorite 3D artists. Obviously, when I started in the industry, I was following quite a lot Raf Grassetti. It was my very first one that I really liked. I also like, how it's called, Juliana Kolakis, I think was her name. She's working in the US still. She was an amazing artist as well. I totally love it. I don't know. It's like if I start naming just artists right now, I would just don't stop. But yeah, at the beginning, I had my very, very favorite ones. Joaquin is saying, how are you doing? Thanks, Joaquin. How you doing, dude? All right, guys. So I think I'm going to already start wrapping up. I hope that I got to reply most of the questions that you got, and I really hope that you have a full overview. What is the normal, my normal approach, or what is the normal situation when you are working and traveling? As you can see, it's just about taking the decision and just going with it, getting the right hardware, and just go. Right. So I know it sounds simple, but yeah, I mean, it's all about taking the step. But all right, guys, so I'm just going to start wrapping here. And if you guys have any more questions, just feel free to reach me, or you can just reach our heroes as well. And yeah, just keep in touch. Don't forget, tomorrow we have another talk. We have 2 events. We have one with Alfredo. He's going to make a portfolio review and stylized characters artist, Alfredo Barro, excellent stylized character artist. And then we have also for Livebox, we have one portfolio review with the amazing Danko Angelozzi and myself, and we're going to be just giving a little bit of feedback. So if you guys want to also to submit your portfolio, you're going to receive all the information on the email if you have signed up to the workshops. All right. So with all this said, that's it. You guys can go to sleep. I'm sure I'm going to go to sleep right now. So have fun, guys. I hope you guys have fun. Ciao, ciao.